Danni and input cruising through the airwaves. Transformers knowledge blast that never caves. Reviews so sharp they'll cut through steel. In the podcast world, they're the real deal. Jumping in the deep end, swimming with the best. Danni's got the info and she never needs to rest. Input's got the passion like a roaring jet. Together they make a mark you won't forget. Dynamic duo, never gonna quit. Taking over airwaves, super lit. Transformers podcast bringing the heat. Every single episode can't be beat.
Hello, and welcome to the state of the Transformers Fandom. I'm Danny D with
the N-PUT, baby. You see how it flowed right into me and it just came all around, baby. That's what's going up. David Friedman, 94, he said, "Hey, cutie, what's up, you sexy bitch? How you doing out there?" Oh, man, I appreciate it. He thinks I'm cute. Oh, that's awesome.
you are very cute.
Today we're going to be talking about lack of world building. Like just world building. Toys used to build worlds. What happened? So what did happen?
Yeah, I got some key points, but a lot of it, for now, corporations, I guess that they don't rely on risk anymore as much, right? So it's instead of world building, they just want to recycle, nostalgia. G1 if it's Transformers, just the easy way to go. Media. And now it's kind of turned around with the media thing too, right? It used to be back in the day, toys, cartoon, lore, fan base, and now it's more show, movie, merchandise. Those come into play as well. It's all kind of backwards. It's not how when we used to grow up, And
I think a lot of the issue is too that a lot of this stuff doesn't have media behind it, right?
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Before it was the toys are hype, the cartoon was hype, the lore and the fan base. Now it's a very minimal show because the attention spans too, I guess, 15 minutes, movie if there is one, and then merch, right? It's a second thought. It's pushed so much more faster.
Well, the thing. Well, I agree with what you're saying. I think there's a bigger issue here, right? It's if you take Transformers as the example here, and you have Earthspark, right? They had toys, they had a wave or two or whatever, but they didn't really have much of anything to really get excited about. You had to have Paramount Plus in order to watch it. Really wasn't on regular television. It couldn't really access it easily. But most of the figures that were being bought were G1. And then what do you have there? You have a comic book, okay, which don't get me wrong is really good comic book, but nobody reads comic books the way that they would watch a television show or a movie or anything like that. And then when you get into the Bayverse side of things, there hasn't been a Bayverse movie in a while now. Right. So then that presents its own set of issues. And then with the movie figures, the studio series figures, that presents its own issue. Right. So when we were kids, follow my thought here, right? So this is where all the problem comes into play is when we were kids, Beast Wars would come on and you'd be really excited, or G1 or G Lost or whatever it was, right? You could do it would give you an idea of what to do, how to play, right? Oh man, Cheetor sounds like this, or Cheetor does this, or Cheetor has that, or whatever, right? But now you don't have that. You don't have that participation, media participation in that anymore. So it's just my point is so many kids now are just buying them and they just put them on a shelf,
Yeah, Yeah, and the thing was too, like, but back in the day, it was 5 to 7 years for a toy line to like really build its lore and background, right? It was a long time. Like a toy line, if it lasts, it would go the 7 to 5 year span. And now the turnover is like around, what do they say, like 12 to 18 months, right? So like that doesn't, like the time that it used to, that we had years to, like, to get into the show, to get into the figures that were in the show, the figures that weren't in the show. Like me and you've talked about 1,000 times, the figures that weren't in the show, we always built our own stories with them and the other toys as well. But we really indulged in the toys that weren't in the show, right?
Yeah.
We build our own stuff, but like that now the turnover is so quick, and like used to be. That's why we have diehard Armada fans, we have diehard Beast Wars fans, G1 fans, because the impact and the lasting of that brand took years to cycle through.
Well, and not only that, when you look at something from the, say, the 80s or 90s that may have only had the one season with it, and just, that 1 year of toys, that maybe a wave or two, like in the 90s, they had a Double Dragon cartoon, lasted like 26 episodes, I think, 24, 25, 26 episodes. And I think it had something like 10 figures, 2 cars, or 2 vehicles, or what, like very relatively small toy line, right?
Yeah.
And then, but after 1993, nobody cared anymore. Everybody forgot about it. Same thing with cops, like fighting crime in the future time, right? Same situation. You had a few toys, and after the one show, it was done, right? When you had something that stood the test of time, Beast Wars, not 5 seasons, but 3 seasons, 5,
so many episodes a season, not 15 minutes, right? Like in depth.
Right. And you sat down, and then, but when there was an entire marketing thing behind it, like,
Sure.
you had t-shirts, or you had clothing, and like they gave you reasons to be hyped about it. It wasn't like a nostalgia cash grab. It wasn't like a, hey,
yes.
You remember
that. And then I was gonna say, like, it was what it was. Transformers was Beast Wars, especially North America. Of course, in like Japan, they have other lines at the time a little bit, but the thing was here, it was like, it was Beast Wars. That's the brand. There wasn't like Buzzworthy, like, a red line or whatever, like all these other lines. Like you get it all joggled up. You don't even know what to be like, what fandom you really like, especially if you're a kid. Like there's a lot of different things. You see Legacy this on all these toys, or Legacy Universe, and like Buzzworthy, and it's just like you just get it. It's just, I guess, fragmented. It's just all over the place.
Raz, I agree with what you're saying. Raz has a question. He says, do you guys think that toys no longer build worlds because kids don't play with toys? Or is it that kids don't build worlds because the toys are not as good? I think the reason why kids don't build worlds anymore, because the worlds aren't being built, if that makes sense, right? Like the creative minds behind something like the real Ghostbusters, as far as like cartoons and toys and everything else, like that creative mind doesn't really necessarily exist anymore. And the other thing too is, I want somebody correct me if I'm wrong, please. I want to be wrong on this. I really, really do. But every time I see a new toy commercial, I don't see kids really playing with the toy.
No.
If I go back and I watch like an old He-Man commercial, the kids are like, they're playing in front of Castle Grayskull. They're laughing, they're smiling, they're playing with the toys. When I see a modern day commercial, and I'll stick with He-Man here, the modern day Origins line, those commercials when they were coming out a few years ago, were aimed at like a father playing with his son, and they would show the father playing with the toy more so than the son, right? I think that has a lot to do with it as well, because kids like to copy each other, right? Like if a kid is happy on TV, that the kid who sees that kid who's happy wants to be happy. They want to be involved with what's going on too, right? So when you don't see kids playing with toys on commercials, it kind of damper.
Yeah, the kids
You know
are
what I
gonna
mean?
be like, you probably won't see it on TV as much anyways. The kid will have to see it like on a screen, you know. So on YouTube, they don't play very many toy commercials. Even on like kids' YouTube, I noticed like good toys, you know, like not in the same way. It's not as hyped, you know.
Right,
And
right.
it's weird, and like you said, I think that has a lot to do too. Like the characters aren't as like, I don't know, the characters don't have as much like backstory themselves and like potential. You know, you used to get lost in the character, especially like Beast Wars, and you know Hasbro's juggling like the adult collector market and the kids market, and the toys are cheap. Like, would you rather play with like a Bumblebee that's as awful as hollow as a waffle, or would you rather just play on a screen? You know, sadly, probably
Well,
pick a screen.
well, I don't think the kids would recognize something like hollowness or whatever, because hollowness dates back to like G1 toys as well, and everybody, for the most part, played with G1 Transformers.
I
One,
guess, but like I
right?
always thought Transformers like they had like more metal, like they felt like a solid toy though. Like I thought shit like
Well,
that when I
yeah.
was very young. Like I thought like lots of shit looked cheap to me. Like I thought I was better than people if I had like something more solid. But you know,
No, I mean I'm not disagreeing with you in that regard. I'm just
they
saying
just
that,
look like cringe. Like some of
yeah.
those toys, like they're so floppy. Like yeah, everyone likes a cheap toy too, but it's just yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Well, I think Blunghole brought up a really valid point here. He says, "I have to lay blame on the lack of patience in today's society. You can't build a weekly episodic world for a toy line when the modern attention span is measured in milliseconds." That's a fair point because I've got a nephew, like he doesn't get a whole lot of screen time, but when he does, he just kind of flips through like like the YouTube shorts. He just kind of, and a YouTube short will start and it'll be like 15 seconds. Boom, he flips through it, flips through it, flips through it, flips through it. But on the opposite hand, he does. There's like some weird kid show where like they run in place and they do like exercises, and it's like a 30-minute show. It's on YouTube as well. He'll sit down for full
Correct.
episodes of that.
Yeah. Pick and choose. But yeah, if I was a kid
Yeah.
today too, and someone said watch a 30-minute cartoon, I'd slap my family member in the face. I'd be like, this isn't 1960, you know what I mean? So I understand, you know what I mean? Like I can understand like the dilemma of it all. And why would you waste time on a 30-minute show when kids can't even pay attention to it anyways? It's sad, but yeah.
Well, and what's kind of crazy too is like, we kind of had short form content back in the day as well,
Yeah.
with like Newgrounds and stuff, right? That would be like 2-minute videos, 3-minute videos, comedic things or whatever, right? Like, or just like we had like brain rotting nonsense,
Mhm.
the what is it? The badger, mushroom, badger, right? I mean, E-Bomb's world was littered with that kind of stuff, but like,
Yeah.
I think the accessibility to it, it's no longer you have to turn on your desktop or your laptop to access it. Everything's in the palm of your hand. You turn on your PlayStation, you get bored playing your game, you can go to YouTube, right?
Mhm.
It's just so saturated right now.
It
It's like,
is.
it's like jumping in the deep end of a pool and getting out, right? You're just soaked in it.
Yeah, and the mindsets are just different because I always liked long form content as a kid, and I thought short form content was just cheap and like I never liked it, because I always liked a huge, like you said, like a huge, story that unfolded over time. I was stoked if there was this episode that was like 45 minutes long and you knew like 5 more parts were coming. I would like skip stuff that was like quick. Even like Animaniacs, as much as I loved it, I hated how chopped up it felt. Like it just, to me, like even though I kind of had like ADHD type symptoms, I just, I was ready to pay attention. I just like the art of the long storytelling, which we've lost in some ways. Not everyone, but
I get that. I get that. Like I really enjoyed like the opposite of that growing up, like like when the Simpsons would do Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah.
And there'd be like 3 episodes, like 10-minute episodes in one episode. Or like Creep Show. you know, like an anthology type of movie. You know, each story is like 15 minutes. It's an hour and a half or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's some like I said, one of I didn't really love that, but like I said, that was like the long one story. But some shows could do it all right. And the other world building costs money, right? They don't want to invest in new characters, new designs, new play sets if people aren't gonna eat it up.
And I'm glad you brought that up, right? Like at the end of the day, all of this costs money, right? But it doesn't matter really how you slice it. But the problem that they're going to end up facing is that if they don't have that world building, uh, you know, that world building in play here, so to speak, no pun intended, that there's not going to be a future for this stuff at all. It's done. Because when you world build, it becomes nostalgic, right? They will always, anybody will forever always be able to sell a Spider-Man based on one of the movies, whether it's Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, or what's damn it, what's the new kid's name? Whatever,
Tom
Tom Holland, right? It doesn't matter. Everybody, there's somebody who's always grown up with a Spider-Man movie that one of those are their favorite. Those figures will always sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Villain from that, the Lizard will always sell, everything, so on and so forth. That will always sell. But when you don't, like G.I. Joe Classified, that's done. When we start dying off, like G.I. Joe's done. Unless they start trying to figure out now how to aim this at some level of children, man. Like it can be 8 to 12 and just build that world, right? Because I mean, how many kids when we were growing up played with a real American hero that didn't really watch the cartoon? Right.
I played with the old original, like the small toys, but I never really watched the show that much, besides like a couple movies here and there. I just like military in general. I didn't really care about the show, so I just built my own stories with the toys, right? Just they looked military. That's what they did. Hey, E-Man, hey, yeah, I'm getting that turkey ready. I have E-Man on my channel this Friday at noon, so come join us for Danny Dolphin Cybercast. We'll be, a little interview and doing some fun stuff there, talking toys as usual. So thank you, E-Man. But yeah, it's very Simpsons runs its course. Yeah, it's tough,
Yeah, and it's like Haida says right here. Haida says Hasbro's been writing their own coattails, pre-established fiction for ages. They can't bother to slap lore on anything anymore.
Yeah,
I agree. Hey, Paul, what's going on, man?
Yeah, no, woohoo, Paul. Yeah, no, I know. It's like like it is lazy to a sense, and then that it's just people we indulge so much, we indulge in the bio cards, the shows, just you wish make it like that, but just things change, man. Like,
well, and that's a what, you brought up a valid point, right? Like even if you didn't have the cartoon for G.I. Joe, you still had the bio card. Like you could, as a kid, take that bio card and read it and figure out if you wanted to add him to your, I don't want to say collection, but you know what I'm saying? Like to take them home with you and add them to your army, your fleet, or whatever, right? That was something that you were able to do. Now they don't really do that. Like you might get a sentence. A Sunfire can fly. Okay. Well, all right. That doesn't entice me to really buy him as a character. To, like a full paragraph of what Snake Eyes has done would be badass, right? Like on the back of the boxes and stuff like that. Like that's something that they need to bring back. They need to do bio cars. They need to do character lore on the back, because in the original Transformers, there's an entire world on their cards alone that doesn't have anything to do with the original cartoon.
Yeah,
at all.
Comics, really. Yeah, it's different. I know. Some of
Yeah.
it's completely different, which is cool. There's so many avenues back then. You could take toy lore, you could take the show lore, comic, or make up your own, combined it all, headcanon, whichever you want to do. But people just don't think like that as much. And you know what? We played with toys much longer, you know? Like, I know I played with toys even when I, like, you know, wasn't supposed to or something, you know?
Yeah.
At a weird age. And, you know, things change. Like, it's like, you know, you just, like, you know, it's not fashionably as cool. Maybe for 30-plus-year-olds it is. People think. But, you know, it's like I see kids, like, you know, they're already, like, you're trying to be fashionable with all their outfits and clothes and screens and phones and, yeah, like scooter. Like, it's just different. Like, you know, when I was like, my friends had kids, and, you know, when I was at their age, I was still a complete dork. I mean, not much has changed now, but there was, like, you know, a time where I thought I was cool, but wasn't at like 11.
Let me ask you this, and I'll ask everybody in chat this too, right?
Mm.
Do you think that it's a like a lack of adventure content, right? Um like if you watched Indiana Jones and you had
Yeah,
like a
there,
backyard,
David.
right? You
Yeah.
would want to go outside, take your Wolverine, your Sabretooth, your whatever, right? And kind of have an adventure, right? And like Wolverine and Sabretooth would be your proxy for that adventure, right? But now it really kind of seems like there's like a lack of adventure focused content, whether it be something as like best of the best, right? You're gonna win this karate tournament, you're gonna go do this stuff or whatever. Or like I said earlier, Indiana Jones or Double Dragon or whatever, right? Nothing is like adventure based. Nothing is like heroically adventure based anymore for the most part, right? You think that might be kind of the cause of a lot of these kids not really looking inward anymore for this stuff and just kind of looking more towards like Fortnite or
No,
just
yeah,
games or something?
I would just blame technology, like, in the sense, I love technology too, but it's just people grow up way quicker from technology. They're introduced to like sexual shit earlier. They're introduced to being cool, quote unquote, earlier. It's you know, it's just people just think they're growing up so much quicker now. Like, you know, and it just has no interest. Like, people, like, I mean, young sure, they might still do that, and they're missing out on the adventure. But I mean, the time it took for a kid to still be in that adventurous, the like imagination mode, to trying to be cool now is like, it's just so quick, you know. Yeah, I remember kids I used to hang out with, and, like, you know, they were kind of dorky at the time too, and we'd still be playing, you know, while other kids were like trying to smoke or play basketball or like meet girls. Like, we were like still like playing Star Wars in the backyard, you know.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just, you know, and things are different then, because, like, you know, you didn't see as much online. You couldn't see what your friends were doing, and, you know, you weren't forced to grow up as early. Like, yeah, at school you might have had to, but like behind like closed doors or at home, like, you still play with your shit or whatever. Kids that were still into it, you know.
Right.
Just, it's weird, you know. But yeah, and it's just the thing that people get so much satisfaction, like you said, off the Fortnite and skins. I know Fortnite's kind of old now, but you know what I mean? Like, just anything like that. It's just the dopamine addiction, the watching all the stuff. It's so different, you know? Our dopamine was looking at going to the store, seeing the toys, like opening the toy, like watching the show, you know?
Yeah.
And it lasts a lot longer, you know? We'd be like thinking about going to the store, thinking about watching the show, thinking about opening the toy, you know? And it was like longer periods. Now it's just like, you know, reward, dopamine, instant gratification, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Sucks. Hard to know
Well,
where to change. I know a lot of people, though, have come strict. You know, in the last 5-10 years, it was really bad, I noticed. But I noticed a lot of people cracking down and, you know, forcing their kids to play with a stick in the yard or whatever. Like, I noticed a lot of people, as much as they can, you know, cracking down on something, not as much tablets. Because you used to see, like, I'd go to Walmart and see like a 3-year-old playing on a tablet, like Candy Crush and shit. I was like, what the hell?
yeah, when I was setting up like Halloween stores and stuff, there was
Hey, Martin.
there was a girl, like, you know, she'd bring her kid, whatever, because, you know, not opposed to, you know, can't afford babysitter or whatever, but like she would just hand her kid a phone, and it was, right on the YouTube. There you go. And it was just like,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Like,
He says the internet, technology, the internet just pushed everyone in a different direction, especially when it's that easily accessed. It wasn't, you had to be at a computer at someone's house tied to a cable. It's like you can be anywhere, Walmart.
Yeah. Maybe we should just kind of go back to cable and everybody be a latchkey kid and wait till 4 o'clock for Dragon Ball Z to start.
Dragon Ball Z at 4:30 on YTV. So it's just crazy, It's good to talk about, like, openly, it's fun, discuss,
Yeah. There's just a lack of, I mean, and what's really sad is, like, when you look at McFarlane does it. McFarlane has a level of world building, and at least he does vehicles, like, retail wise for his toys, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you got a Batman, you can get a Batmobile. It's still kind of lacking though, but but in the case of, like, Hasbro, like Marvel Legends, dude, every time they release a Weapon X figure, I'm just like, why won't you do like a $70 or $80 version, and Weapon X comes with his chamber.
Yeah.
So you can put Weapon X just kind of floating there, like, he's in the Weapon X program and whatever. And that would be super dope, man. But yeah, like, I don't know, man. It sucks because there's a lack of caring that goes into all this when beforehand there was such passion,
for sure,
such care, such love for all of it, that went into it.
Yeah, E-Man says we have no electronics Mondays and Tuesdays, and make our teens play board games or get creative with arts and crafts at 13, 14, 15. Wow. I mean, I commend you on that.
Right?
Yeah, like I said, some parents are changing, imagination goes a long way. People, like, they might not see it now because they want it, but in the long run, when they get older and they reflect and, like, oh, okay, my parent was hard on me, they didn't want me to do this and that, but it kind of, like, helps their mindset a bit. So yeah, it's crazy. I know the easy thing is when your kid's crying in a store, though, to give them the tablet. So I understand. It's not, I don't judge any parent or anything necessarily, but it's just the world we live in, but if you can make some small changes and it works, that's cool, especially like board games and stuff, right? I teach is calm, patience, you're living in the moment.
So what you're saying is to grab your kid, duct tape them to a chair, and make them watch old cartoons from the 90s and 80s and stuff?
Freaking whatever, Velcro on the chair. Velcro shorts or whatever. All right. Super glue them. But yeah, like I said, it's fun to talk about. Something to just get, it's good to just talk about.
So speaking of what, talking about, what are we talking about next week, Danny Dolphin?
Yeah, next week. Are you brainwashed by toys or whatever toy company?
I thought our collector's brainwashed. I thought that's what we were going to talk about.
Yeah, collector's brainwashed. You're brainwashed by multiple things. Mr. Brainwash, exit through the gift shop.
Dufresne.
I'll buy that, Banksy, for $1. But yeah, interesting. But yeah, no, it was great. Good turnout today. Lots of people in the chat. I love these topics. They get people buzzing,
Yep. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Danny, give those people out there some words of positivity to get them through their week, or at least their day.
Yeah. Enjoy American Thanksgiving. If you're celebrating that, eat them turkeys. Don't forget about them chickens. Eat them turkeys. Appreciate everyone as always in the chat and you input for joining me. I got E-Man this Thursday on the Cybercast. I'll probably be doing just a lone stream on my channel as well, just to, like, hype it up to get people there. Just talk about what I'm doing more for like an hour now, once a week maybe, and then this again and more stuff planned. But like I said, just have fun, indulge in some toys, and have a good turkey. Have some
turkey
good turkey
day. Gobble gobble, god dang it.
Gobble.
All right.
I love turkey. But yeah, no. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, that's pretty much it. See you guys next week.
Yeah.
4 p.m. Central Standard Time as we ask the question, are collectors brainwashed? Later, everybody.
Remember to wash your hair and put deodorant on.
Thank you for joining us. It has been a pleasure. However, we must now conclude the program. We appreciate your viewership and apologize should we have inadvertently disrupted your evening. Please do not take any offense. We look forward to presenting another engaging topic next week, and we extend our gratitude for your continued support.